have you seen that this new innovation taking place, like cloud kitchens and these?
Sure have.
Yeah,
Yep. Sure have ghost kitchens and all that. Yeah. It's really interesting. It's really interesting to me. And you're in the hot spot for that, right? On the West Coast.
oh yeah,
And I know there's a ton of those. I've not really spent much time in them. I've been in one or two, but it's something I'm definitely learning a lot more about, because I think, to your point, it's the wave of the future. And I think more than ever, I think you've got this interesting dichotomy where you have one segment of people that I think more than ever wants to engage with their food, with the experience, with the people, with the ambiance, the culture. I think you've got that segment. And I think you've got a whole nother segment that's like, I want my food as quickly as possible. I don't want to get out of my car. In fact, I didn't want to come to your restaurant. I just want it to be brought to me, and I want it fast, right? So I think you've got these like equally powerful segments that I think in between those two segments, Paul, is where the innovation is, right? So how do you make that really accessible in the middle of all that? And I think that's the interesting, from my point of view, that's the interesting challenge, I think, for us in the space.
yeah. I'm still. It's funny, after all these investments we've made, and I'm still unsure how to best take it, because, as you know, just like Starbucks, where they refused to do drive-through forever until they knew they had built a brand that people love, trust, that they're willing to adopt it in the supermarket, to adopt it as a drive-through instead of being
Right.
or enjoying the experience. I still believe that it's this conflict I have where, yeah, I want customers to go in the store. I want them to smell the food. I want them to get friendly smiles. I want them to see the food being chopped like they do on the streets in New York. And it's all part of that experience, that culture, that brand, right? And but the delivery takes away from that, and we lose control over the service experience. Like, you've seen all these crazy stories about drivers eating their food before dropping it off, and like that stuff scares me, because that's, at the end of the day, it's still a bad experience that came from that is somehow tied to us.
Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah, we're willing to take a bet on it, because that's where the future is. I just hope there are improvements and innovations to prevent that, and to still embody like the brand, the culture, the New York street feel that we've been famous for. And so, yeah, that's still a work in progress.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's awesome. Great conversation. What is one thing that you don't think is taught as much as it should be when it comes to restaurant leadership?
Like being taught, you said?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Which one thing is not being taught as much as it should be when we're developing leaders for the restaurant industry?
oof. And are you talking about like people who are fresh in the industry, or people who have been around for a while and they're still not taught, or they're still?
Uh, I think maybe it could apply to both groups. Like, what is there like a core? Is there a core principle that to be true, that you just feel like, on the whole, not for you necessarily,
Yeah.
not for Halal Guys, but just in the industry in general, like when you get people like, and here, I guess I'll ask it this way. When you bring somebody in, right, to your organization, they've checked the boxes, they're great, they're fantastic, they're going to perform really well. Is there anything that you notice or that you've seen across more than one candidate where you go, I wonder how they didn't know that? Like, I wonder, when it comes to restaurant leadership, like, I wonder how they didn't learn that. So I didn't know if there's anything that you've noticed that is maybe not being as taught as much as you teach it, and as much as that it's taught in your organization.
Oof, that's a great question. And I think it goes, one of them is culture. I think it's still so hard to measure and so critical. I think there should just be more study and more emphasis on culture. I think there's no shortage of talented people who know how to manage a P&L and how to manage food costs and stuff like that. That comes a dime a dozen. What really stands out is people who see labor as an investment, see I guess, who care about the culture as the long game and as the insurance policy, like you and I chatted, for the company. Um, that's one thing. Also, because I've been in the restaurant business for so long, and as you know, people, I think almost everybody has some kind of restaurant itch. What I run into are so many people who want to get into the restaurant business, and most of the time my question usually asks why, and they usually say, I have someone who's a chef. I know someone who can cook. They cook really good food, and so that's already like maybe I don't want to take this client on.
Yep.
I think it's food is just not enough. I there's just so much more that goes into the business. If anything, that's maybe, you still need to have a core product. That's still a baseline, but that's the one of the that's something you deal with like maybe 20 steps after you've really like assessed why you want to get into the restaurant business. So
right.
I think it's more like mindset. I think most people don't get trained on mindset. They get trained on skills. They get trained on how to open and close, how to handle, how to put out fires, how to give discounts, stuff like that. But I think mindset coaching, which I'm so glad you exist, by the way, is mindset coaching. It's just like training an athlete, right? I mean, it's all mindset. It's the whole deal. So I'd say
absolutely
mindset coaching is probably something that I think most restaurant owners don't have the time, or they don't have that themselves. But I feel like that's a big shortage.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think those are two excellent examples of things that are just not taught as much. I think that when I think about the culture equation, that I think people aren't taught that having a strong culture, having the right culture, that there is an ROI to that there actually is a positive impact on your business from having the right culture in all the ways that we know that it'll impact it positively. Everything from, happier employees to lower turnover to better guest experiences, all of that we know is true, right? But I don't think that why is taught. And I think you're 100% right. And I love the mindset. That is definitely not taught, because I think that shows up in so many ways in negative experiences as well as positive experiences, because, we all know this is the restaurant business and things happen. And sometimes things don't go the way that we hoped that they would, or the way that we had drawn them up to go. But the mindset with which we approach those things has a huge impact on how the rest of that shift goes, how the rest of that week goes, the rest of that month goes, to the rest of that quarter goes, to the rest of the year. I mean, it's all tied together. So I love that concept of mindset. I think that's really powerful.
I'm glad you get it, and I'm glad you exist to embody that with people. And it's one of those things where if everybody had the right mindset, like the world would be a better place. So
it sure would. It sure would.
That's
it sure would. Absolutely. Well, Paul, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this time, how much I learned from this conversation, how much I appreciate everything you're doing, and congratulations on everything you've accomplished, your success, the team you've built. I know you're not alone in this. You've got some great partners that work alongside you as well, but you've really accomplished just so much. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate this time. So if anyone who happens to be listening to this, whether it's 2 people or 200 people, and they want to learn more about you, how can they connect with you?
Let me backpedal on that. I also want to tell you I appreciate you spending time, and I'm a lot of out of all the folks I've gotten to learn, meet. I love what you're doing. I love how you're using your experience with the best in class chains to help and benefit those who don't get access to the best in class chains. I don't know if that's like the ethos of what you're doing, but I know from me as a small chain, as a people who surrounded myself with mom and pops that are trying to grow, the fact that you come from like best-in-class brands, and you're able to translate that experience and make it accessible to smaller chains and clients. I love that. That's definitely a mission I can definitely get behind, and I love what you're doing as well. And I love that you're taking extra time to do this podcast, because I'm pretty sure you'll be busy enough with your consulting practice and your book coming out. But podcasts is, I've read over and over that it's a labor of love, and it's for people who care about an idea so much and want to get it out and share it with the world and add value. So I appreciate what you're doing here too, and much success and luck to you as well. And I'm excited for the book that's coming out. So
thank you so much for those kind words. It really is the ethos of what I'm trying to do, because I just feel like sometimes when, I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror, I'm just ready to explode, because I know how much, and it's not just what I have to say, but that how much my experience and what I've seen, what I've heard, and what I've learned, and what I've done, I know how much it applies to the space. And I know that if I can share this message about culture and how much that culture matters, and how much that having the right people in the right position at the right time, they're doing the right things, how much that matters, I know that I can help save people from a lot of heartache and a lot of heartbreak. And so it is really at the ethos of what I'm doing. And so I really appreciate you noticing that. It's my goal. My goal is just to try to add value. So right back at you. So
well, that's a given. But as far as finding me, I guess the most appropriate venue would be going on LinkedIn. If you go on linkedin.com/in/Paul T Tran, so that's PaulTran. Definitely reach out, say hi, and happy to chat about anything that we talked about, you and I.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for this podcast interview with Paul Tran. It was an amazing conversation. I encourage you to look Paul up, reach out to him, and engage him. He's one of the most accessible people I know in the industry, and I really love the conversation with him and look forward to staying connected. So thanks again for enjoying the Cutting Onions podcast. If you did enjoy it, please, wherever you consume content, rate us and leave a review. It would be greatly appreciated, as it helps us stay relevant in the space of all the business podcasts that are out there. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.